Wow, you know what? These mornings have been cold recently. Yeah, yeah. I got my hoodie on when I get out in the morning, and I'm putting my hat on and my coat and my scarves and my gloves and let's see what else should I be putting on that help me get warm. Oh yeah, yeah. Wearing boots in the winter time and on cold days is a good thing, right? Don't you think? Yes, having nice insulated boots that are sort of waterproof and stuff. Boy, they sure help your feet not to get cold, because one thing you don't want is cold feet. It's terrible to get cold feet. Oh, well, speaking of cold feet, did you ever hear that phrase, to get cold feet? Yeah, it's not referring actually to having your feet be frozen or chilled or cold, but it's used in a way that describes somebody getting so nervous or anxious before they attempt to do something that they often want to avoid doing it. You know, you might hear somebody who's getting married say, "I'm experiencing cold feet," or "I wasn't nervous until the morning of my wedding, but everyone assured me that I had just gotten cold feet." Or someone could say, who's getting ready for a performance, "Well, good luck getting her out on stage. She always gets cold feet before a performance." So if you get cold feet, or you have cold feet about something you've planned to do, you become nervous about it and you're not sure if you want to go through with it. I got cold feet when I learned that trip involves whitewater rafting. Yeah, I'm scared of water, or deep water, so I got cold feet about going on that trip. Well, this expression, cold feet, apparently is from the 19th century, at least in its present meaning, to be nervous about something. In the early 17th century, I'm reading that it was an Italian proverb that meant to have no money. So if you didn't have money, you had cold feet. Yeah, I'm not sure how that fits in. Maybe because you couldn't buy shoes. I don't know. So the source of how we use the phrase now is a bit more obscure. Some believe that it comes from soldiers who were retreating in battle because their feet were cold, and so they ran away from the battle because they had cold feet. Another source cites a German novel in the 1800s in which a card player withdrew from a game because he claimed his feet were cold. So he was afraid of maybe losing, and so he backed out. Well, either way, do you ever get nervous? So nervous that you don't want to do what you said you would do? Like, you may have promised to give a speech or talk about something in front of people, and when it comes down to that day and that event, you get so nervous that you say, "I don't think I want to do this." You have cold feet, so you think about backing out. Well, I want to encourage you not to become that nervous about something that you get cold feet. The Apostle Paul was even nervous in some of his experiences, and he is somebody who we quote a lot. In 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 3, he's talking about how he was scared when he came to the people at Corinth. And here's one phrase he says, "When I came to you, I was weak and very afraid and trembling all over." And he goes on to say that he wasn't sure what to say, and he was a little nervous and a little scared. But in another letter of the Apostle Paul, the one he wrote to Timothy, in 2 Timothy, he says this, "You know what? God gave us his Spirit. And his Spirit doesn't make us weak and fearful. Instead, the Spirit gives us power and love and helps us control ourselves." Yeah, so we have the capacity to not be so nervous and to not get cold feet because of the promise of God's presence with us. Matthew 6:34, Jesus said, "Don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." Granted, there are plenty of things to be nervous about, but Jesus was affirming his presence with us. And he said, "Lo, I am with you always." Psalm 91:11 says, "The Lord will command his angels to take good care of you." Do you know that you are surrounded by God's presence, by God's love, and by his care? Yes, and that should help us from not getting cold feet about things, not getting too nervous about something that we cannot follow through with what we promised we would do. So on these cold mornings, as we enter into winter, get your hats, your hoodies, your gloves, your boots, your warm socks, your warm shoes, and make sure you don't get cold feet, both physically and in the things that you promised to do. So have a day filled with love, warmth, and peace.